You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. It's 7:23. Time for a look at the newspapers.
Justin Cohen, the editor of the Jewish News, is here to tell us what's caught his eye. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lots going on in the papers today. We were talking about Jimmy Hill, who passed away yesterday,
Yes.
and also Lord Janas died at the age of 87. And you've picked this out from the Sunday Telegraph, and of course, thoughts are with his family and friends, of course, but many people are going to be talking about the last years and what that's been overshadowed by the claims of child sex abuse.
Yeah, I think that it's now a fact that his great work, his years of dedicated service to the Jewish community, to Holocaust education, and also to the wider country as a leading barrister, will clearly not be remembered as they would have done otherwise had these allegations not engulfed him in the last year. And I think the Jewish community in particular has been grappling with this issue for a long time now. We saw the tributes paid to him by the Jewish Leadership Council, by the Board of Deputies and other organisations yesterday, the Holocaust Educational Trust being one of them. But I think that those messages were clearly muted. It didn't contain some of the hyperbole that, frankly, he deserved for his work, but it's understandable that those messages would be more muted. I knew Lord Janas quite well. I worked quite closely with him as a an editor of the Jewish News. And during that time, I found nothing but a kind, gentle and accommodating man. I knew a lot of people who actually worked in his office, and a lot of them find it very hard to this day to believe that those allegations can be true. But no doubt those allegations were horrific, and I think for the alleged victims, this now means that they won't get the day in court. Equally, for Lord Janas and for his family, who strenuously deny the allegations, they're not going to have the opportunity to disprove the allegations and clear his name.
So they will be picked up by the Goddard inquiry, we think, don't we? Let's just focus on Europe. It's been a big week in Brussels. David Cameron setting out his plan for reform. You've picked out a comment piece by Liam Fox.
Yes, so Andrew Marr talking about Liam Fox earlier on, and it's clear now that the road, if we ever doubted this, the road to the referendum, possibly in 2016, is not going to be an easy one for David Cameron. On Friday, he was talking in quite confident terms, hinting that we're looking at a summer 2016 referendum, sounding quite confident about the renegotiation that he's begun now with European leaders. Fact is, he only has now until February to get that deal that he wants. But I think in today's papers, it's certainly a reality check for the Prime Minister. It's clear that the negotiations with European leaders will probably be the easy part of this process. It's bringing the Tory party with him to do this. Liam Fox in the Times, as you say, says that ever since I've entered Parliament 23 years ago, I've been told that Europe is coming in our direction. It's time to end the pretence it is not. Also in other papers we have Boris Johnson criticising the Prime Minister. We've got suggestions that 3 cabinet ministers would be willing to resign if they weren't allowed to campaign for the outside of the referendum. So it's going to be a bumpy ride, I think.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement, isn't it, really? Let's lighten the mood a little bit. The Queen has a body double. Are you surprised by this?
It's described as a body double. If you read slightly between the lines and into the text, it's not really. A lady called Mrs. Golder, from Twickenham, yes. She apparently has been part of the production team for about 10 years on the broadcast. And she was asked to step in and just to check that there were no branches hanging out of what would be the Queen's head. She did the
This is for the Queen's speech.
This is for the Queen's
speech.
speech.
For the Christmas Day speech.
Absolutely,
but this is typical TV practice, isn't it? When you have a big interview, when we're doing a big interview on location, one of the production staff will sit in to make sure that everything's framed camera height, and so. But she's similar proportions to the Queen, isn't she? Yeah. Which is why she's been used.
Yes, she doesn't look anything like the Queen, but yes, she looks roughly similar proportions. But I think that the point of this is it's a nice Christmas story. There's not a huge amount to it. What she does actually reveal when she talks about the secrets behind the broadcast is that some of the items that you see on the set, as it were, aren't necessarily from the royal household, aren't part of Buckingham Palace, but are actually brought in by outsiders.
We're going to talk to you again and get some more thoughts from you. Thank you very much for the moment. That's all we've got time for here on BBC One. We'll see you on the news channel.